My name is Portia Geach and I'm the director of Cause Group. Cause Group are the organising body for the Portia Geach Memorial Art Prize. This year's Portia Geach was the biggest we've ever had. We had over 325 entrants and a selection of 60 finalists, which are here at the S.H. Irving Gallery. The actual award is run in September and the exhibition runs in November. The Portia Geach Memorial Art Prize started when Portia's sister Florence Kate decided to establish a fund in memory of her sister, Portia Geach. The trustee of the Portia Geach estate is Trust Company of Australia, and they actually use the income of the estate to run this prize. They've employed Cause Group, and what we do is organise the prize and act as the administrator. One of the most beautiful things about the Portia Geach Art Prize is the fact that each year, each exhibition has its own personality. This year is different to the exhibition that we had last year and very different to the exhibition again we had the year before. This really comes down to the judging panel and the process they go through in selecting the finalists. It's a big day for the judges where they're locked away in a warehouse deciding on who will actually be a finalist in the Portia Geach Art Prize and of course who the winner is going to be and if they should commend any works. This is the 40th year for the Portia Geach Memorial Art Prize, and one of the most beautiful things about this art prize is the fact that Kate, Portia's sister, established it for her in memory of Portia Geach. Portia Geach did some wonderful, wonderful things for Australian women back in the 60s. She fought for equal pay. She set up the Australian Housewives Association. She was very involved in giving women a voice in Australia. And as in most cases in Australia, especially in the arts industry, when people tend to die, that's their memory unfortunately dies with them. These wonderful awards are opportunities to actually establish the memory of people that dedicate their lives to making Australia a better place. Some of the more notable prize winners include Wendy Sharp, Jenny Sages, and people who have won the Portia Geach and have gone on to win the Archibald Prize as well. The award has received some controversy because it is only open to female artists and does not include male artists. There's many reasons for this, but the main reason is that Portia Geach herself was an artist, a very struggling artist who wasn't supported in Australia or overseas. Portia put it down to the fact that she was a female and came up against a glass ceiling on many occasions. The prize is $18,000 and is awarded to the artist in the judging panel selects. In the 2004 exhibition include Denise Parkinson for her art called Elements. This painting is by Lucy Cullerton and it's titled Selfless Subject. One of the most beautiful things too about this award is that it's more, as many artists have said to me, the award is more like a family, and year after year we have the same artists sending in their paintings and supporting the award. This is by the artist who won the 2004 Portia Geach Memorial Award Art Prize, Nerissa Lee, and it's titled The Chic in Me, Self-Portrait with Imagined Portrait of Chad Morgan after Frida Kahlo. This is Nerissa's first win of the Portia Geach Award. This painting, it was highly commended in the 2004 Portia Geach Memorial Art Prize. It's by Catherine Fox and it's titled Phase 3 Self-Portrait. This painting is by Helen Halliday and it's titled David Ansby. And we have Frances Wiedesack with Brenda in the Gloaming. And Sinead Davis with Self-Portrait.
And I think the reason she said that is that she picked out a list
This is by Marianne Coots and is titled Stepping Out. One of the beauties of the Portia Geach Art Prize, and it's a credit to the judging panel, is the diversity of works each year that the exhibition has.
Yeah, so she's painted in with what they call fan brushes, very fine brushes. As you can see, this is all wonderful soft.
This is a painting by Cherry Wood titled Self-Portrait. This painting is titled Bruce Spence and is done by the artist Carolyn Mackay-Creasy. Here we have a painting titled The Artist as Hero by Gabrielle Jones. This again is an artist that is making a political statement. In her artistic statement, Gabrielle said, "I love the Olympics, and after being moved for the umpteenth time at a gold medal presentation ceremony, I, like everybody else, began to imagine what it must be like to stand on this dais in that crowd, having achieved the highest performance after years of dedicated work. Then I got tired, just thinking about it. I later realised that as a painter, I had the power to more easily situate myself anywhere and be whomever I want, just as well. But the actual impetus to paint was when John Howard made a speech promising more money to an already widely successful Olympics team. My reaction, enough already, what about the arts? If the funding were different and a zillion TV cameras were available to broadcast artists' achievements, would we be heroes too, and thus be worthy of a greater funding? So I decided to do my bit to start a groundswell of hero worship for the artist as a hero." Here we have a painting by Deborah Angus titled Gay Waterhouse. Here we have Self-Portrait Makeover by Cherry Daly. Here we have an artist, Yuri Shimoy, with her painting titled Painting a Self-Portrait. This is by Louisa Antico and it's titled Self-Portrait Nighttime. Here we have One Red Shoe and it's by the artist Mia Oatley. This work is by Laura Matthews and is titled Dr. V Reflects. Here we have Marina and Astrid Connolly, painted by Gabrielle Martin. In her artistic statement, Gabrielle wrote, "I was moved to paint these unusually gifted sisters at their transition stage of their lives, before their full potential has unfolded." Marina and Astrid have gained recognition for their exquisite singing voices and musical talents. In spite of their youth, 15 and 12 years of age, they were cast in a Melbourne performance of Mozart's Magic Flute in 2003, and they also sing regularly in a church choir. Here we have Nafisa Naomi's work titled A Boit in Time. Next week is the final week for the Portia Geach Memorial Art Prize 2004, with the exhibition closing on Wednesday. We do hope that we'll see you again at the 2005 Portia Geach Memorial Art Prize.
So you work here at the ATS Urban Gallery and you also work at the Royal North Shore Hospital.
Yes.
And you told me how old you are and I just can't believe it.
I am 74.
And you look so beautiful. Can you tell us your secret of...
I mean, that's really, I never thought about having secrets about it, you know. Really, I'm very proud to say it. And I mean, I really don't know. I mean, people telling me that all the time. I don't know. Yes, I am. I went through a lot in my life. Very down a lot of times. So I lost my first husband, 71. I was a single mother of 3. I lost my son 12 years ago. He was a drug addict for 25 years. And I lost my second husband 7.5 years ago. Yeah, but he's still there. So, yes, and yeah, it makes me happy too. He's always smiling at me, and he wouldn't mind that I meet somebody else again, which I would love to. So, but it's not that many, you know, around. You know, men actually have to leave that world a bit earlier than women do. That's what the statistics says, you know. So, I mean, I came out to Australia 21 years ago with my 15-year-old daughter. She's 36 now. To start a new life, different life, you know. And so, and I did it, and yeah, I'm quite happy. One of my secrets is actually I'm happy. It doesn't matter what comes, you have to be happy about it. You have to take the bad things as well as the good things. Be thankful for everything. And what I most enjoy about volunteer work is to make other people happy. That is, you know, I really don't know, that makes my day, you know, if they smile at me and I think, oh, I'm not giving, I'm receiving, and I receive all the time. In the hospital as well, you know, and people, they go, oh, Rosa, oh, I love your smile, and you know, and I give them a hug. And I did Meals on Wheels 3.5 years, for 3.5 years. And you know, you go into that houses where they live, you know, on their own. And I gave them not only the meals, I gave them hugs and. Yeah, okay, I'm talking too much. So, so that's my life in short term. So it's a lot of other things came along, but others, I'm still happy. I'm looking out of the window, see the flowers, the trees, and birds. I have a lot of birds coming on my balcony, and it's just life is so beautiful. And sometimes it makes me sad that people don't see it that way.
Hi, my name's Jeanette Corduba-Thompson. I'm a finalist in the 2005 Portia Geach, and this is my portrait of Grace. Grace is standing next to the portrait. We both painted each other this year, and the process took about a year on and off as I repainted the portrait and fine-tuned. And the object for me was to capture Grace's serenity and inner strength, because Grace presents as a very shy, quiet person. She's actually a very strong person. This painting was done in my studio with a Western aspect, and Grace sat for me in the strong summer sun every Thursday when we were painting between 2 and 5, as I needed her to sit at that time to capture the sun. The still life setting is actually in my studio. And when I began the portrait, Grace just came into the studio and sat down. It was quite unplanned. And then I pulled the table across, so it had a connection with her. And the references to the still lives are quite valid because I'm basically a still life painter. But the objects you see in the painting are items that we used in our sittings, because we had lots of cups of tea and chats in between times. So it all sort of worked together, and Grace asked if she could read while I was painting everything but her face, and she asked me to tell her when I was painting her face, and then she'd look up. So I think in her reading while she was sitting, it enhanced her serenity. She was never agitated or anything like that. It was just a very serene setting and captured her serenity. I might add that the afternoon sun was from the west. It was it started in winter, and the portrait went through to summer, and Grace sat there on very hot summer days and never complained. I don't think you can actually see her melting there, but I thought at times she might melt in the heat. And we really enjoyed the process.
Hi, my name's Grace Costanzo, and this is my portrait of Jeanette Corduba Thompson. Jeanette and I have known each other for a long time. We both studied at the Julian Ashton Art School, and we went to Graham Inson, where we studied tonal impressionism. While we were there, we learnt that we had been at primary school in the same class, and that we had lived in the same suburb in the next street, and that we had a mutual friend. Jeanette was very patient. When she sat for me for a year on and off. I painted 2 paintings of Jeanette, and in the first painting I had her standing on high-heeled stiletto shoes, which she did for 3 hours at a sitting. She came on Friday mornings, and this was the second painting that I did of Jeanette. Jeanette is an excellent model, and not many people would have stood for so long. I was going to say in the stiletto heels, but this painting is not the one with the stiletto heels, obviously. This is the second painting, and that's it.
When I originally conceived this painting, it was going to be about something entirely different, which was going to be about the descent of Persephones, which is about a myth in which the daughter of Demeter, Persephone, decides to descend into the underworld and to meet Hades. And in Jungian terms, it's about the separation of the psyche from the mother and the daughter. And of course, this is a portrait of my daughter, and leading up to this for some years, she had been getting involved in a relationship, and I spoke to her about the myth, and we are both very close, and I was starting to feel that her descent was, fairly imminent, that the separation between mother and daughter was going to start to occur. And then I suggested that I do a portrait on this subject, and she thought that it was a good idea. So I did a lot of draft copies and put forward a lot of ideas. And so finally I came up with this idea. I wanted it to be subtle. I didn't want it to be obvious that that's what I was doing. And I'd always been attracted by the ocean. I'm always very comforted by the ocean, so I decided to do it by the ocean with her standing on the rocks. And as you can see, she's looking down, ready to basically descend. And so I drafted the portrait up. And to the point, I always like to have my horizons just a little bit, just as you can see, it's just slightly off. I like to have that kind of edgy feeling, in some of these. Anyway, once I drafted it up and I had a look, and I put the first layer of colour down, I thought I didn't feel that it was about the descent anymore. I thought, no, this is not working. It's kind of taken over, and it's being, you know, the painting's wanting to be something else. So I left it for a few days, and then I came back, and the thing that struck me, you know, it was so obvious that here was the sky, air, this is the water, the rocks, earth, and her dress, which was something that we just picked out together. She looks like a flame in it, so hence I decided to call it elements, and I decided to go with that idea that it was going to be the element, and my daughter being an actor, she is a spark, she is a flame that brings that all together. So during the painting of it, and I touched on this before you know, for years and years in my work, I found that when I was painting something, I would become that, I would feel that, and it was a pre-conscious thing. But this time, I decided to go for an animist way of doing this. Animism basically is the belief that everything is interconnected and that we are all one and nothing is separated. I decided to, when I painted the sky, as much as I could to be the sky. And when I painted the water, I was the ocean, etc., etc. When I painted the rocks, I was the earth, I was the rocks, and so on. When I was, you know, people would come into my studio, and, you know, as they do, my friends and my family, and, you know, they'd be making comments of, oh, those rocks look like they could breathe. And I thought, I've done something, you know, I've achieved something, because animists, of course, believe that everything, even a rock, has a spirit and has a life. So I was quite, you know, excited that I had, you know, seemed to have achieved this, and people were giving me feedback in that that is what they were seeing, without even telling them, even mentioning to them that I was doing this. So I was very excited. So that kind of really drove me on to do this experiment of being one with the elements. And of course, the ancient Greek philosophers, many of them believed that the four elements, everything was made up in the four elements, and so that was another very interconnected thing for me.